But when I felt trapped, that's when doors would open. They said God makes a way, that's how I know I'm chosen. You can throw stones and try to judge me, but God loves me, God loves me. You can chastise and try to treat me ugly, but God loves me, God loves me. You can't be insolent and act like you're above me, but God loves me.
Next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is how much credit would Joshua deserve for beating Aleksandr Usyk? So how much credit would Anthony Joshua deserve for beating Aleksandr Usyk? And we're going to turn this over to Conspiracy.
You know what? I honestly feel like there's two answers to this. Now, the short-term answer, he'll get no credit. But when we're talking about putting Anthony Joshua in the Hall of Fame, that will be an accolade that will be considered. Let's just be real. People are going to be like, oh, this is a cruiserweight. Like, he's smaller. Da, da, da. And on top of that, it really depends on the fight. Because if Joshua, let's just say Joshua knocks him out round one or like within the first like 4 rounds or something, he's not going to get credit for that because people are going to be like, that's what you were supposed to do. But if Usyk comes in heavyweight shape and he's bringing it to AJ and he's doing stuff that we haven't seen this guy do in his last 2 heavyweight fights, then I think boxing fans would be like, you know what? All right, yo, AJ, you got that, bro, because this is the best Usyk that we've seen in the in heavyweight ranks thus far, right? So I'm hoping that Usyk actually does, match the opposition, right? Like this is going to be the best Usyk that we've seen thus far in the heavyweight division. But if it's the Usyk of the last 2 fights, I don't think he's going to get credit, man, because I think he's going to mow right through that Usyk. So it really depends on Usyk. Usyk has to bring his A game. Usyk has to bring an element that we haven't seen from him. And if he brings that same Usyk when he fought Chisora, again, Ukrainian soup, bro. We eating Boris soup. So AJ's not going to get credit short term, but long term, he'll get that credit because, boxing fans have a tendency to forget a lot of stuff. So that does sound like a cute accolade. Undisputed, cruiserweight champion, Olympic gold medalist. So it sounds great, but when you see the fight, that's what I'm saying. It really depends on what Usyk brings. But I'm going to say, I'm just going to say short term, no. Long term, yes. He'll get the credit.
He should. He really should. Because I think that's just what they're doing. They're trying to discredit Usyk. So Joshua doesn't get the proper due he deserves for beating a guy like Usyk. None of these guys have fought a guy like Usyk. Look at their resumes. None of these guys have fought a guy like Usyk. They don't got an Usyk on their resume. Listen, it's kind of not fair. Like I don't, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of not fair. You know what I'm saying? Because like this sucks when you're at the top. This is what happens when you're at the top. And I was talking about this last week. This is what happens at the top. It's lonely at the top, baby. It's lonely at the top. But yeah, you don't never get credit for anything. People want to say, what more can you do? You know what I'm saying? Like you juggled with fire. You know what I'm saying? Now you have to juggle with some knives. Now they want to see you on the tightrope with the knives. Now they want to see you on the tightrope with the knife and the fire on the tightrope at the same time.
That's at the bottom.
Now they want the chainsaw coming.
With the knife and the fire on top of the top rope. It's never enough. It's never enough. And that's what happens when you're at the top. You know what I'm saying? So I think that he deserves a lot of credit for fighting Usyk. But I don't think the world's going to give it to him. They're not going to get, like G was saying, I don't think they're going to give it to him, right? And 2, it's later when he's done with his career.
That's when he's going to get that credit.
That's when he's going to get that credit. But he deserves to get that credit ASAP because Usyk is one time. I don't know what people are seeing. I don't know why they can't see it, but I see it. When I watch him, I'm like, he's really a talented guy in there. And you see how he sets guys up You know what I'm saying? He sets guys up. You got to rewind it back. Like, he was doing that the whole time. Like, he sets guys up how he hit with his movements. Like, he's a really talented guy, man. You got to give Usyk some credit. And if Joshua beats Usyk, I think that is a hell of a win. It's a hell of a win.
All right, TBE.
Better than any other win that any of these other guys have on their record.
True.
I think the real boxing connoisseurs will give AJ his credit for beating Usyk, you know. But I don't think like the mainstream is not gonna make it to the mainstream level where, oh, AJ beat Usyk, undisputed cruiserweight, things of that nature. It's not gonna make. It's not. He's not gonna get that type of recognition. But at the end of the day, the real boxing analysts will know AJ's defeat. Like AJ defeated a talented fighter if he wins. And just like we said, Usyk would get all the glory if he beats AJ next Saturday. So, and vice versa, it's just like the same thing with Andy Ruiz, overnight star versus if AJ wins, it's gonna be played down a little bit. But we know the real boxing analysts, the real fans of boxing will know this fight was a serious fight. And go ahead, G.
Oh, and I just like to add, as a graphic designer, did y'all see the promo for this? The posters.
I didn't see it. No.
Yo, it looks like doing them old school Cash Money.
Stop
Like
playing.
the zone's not even pumping money into the marketing for this fight. Like that should tell us something. Like,
Yeah, they got to pay AJ. They got to pay AJ and Usyk.
yo, I'm telling you, they're like, yo, bruh, Josh was running through this dude. We're not even gonna put money into selling this stuff. It's crazy, yo. I'm just saying.
They're bringing back the retro designs, man.
I know that could be somebody's nephew that got
That's
plugged in. You know what I'm saying?
No,
You know, like the same dude was making money off it because it was like No Limit and Cash Money all had like the same type of album designs. Like it was just.
I hope they're going retro. I hope they're going retro, but I doubt it. I think they just like, man, AJ's gonna run through this dude. Let's just set up Undisputed. I think they playing all their marketing dollars towards Undisputed right now.
Shame on you, G.
You know. By the way, this is what's on Usyk. This is what Usyk is supposed to. I don't know, but
Garbage.
I don't know about that. But it's all right. It's all right.
Okay.
They ain't put
It's
no.
all right. It's all right.
That's not even it. You'll find the other one that looks like the No Limit stuff. You'll see it on the Zone or Eddie Hearn's Twitter. You'll be like, oh man, they ain't putting no money towards this fight.
My Usyk ain't worried, yo. Usyk's like, I'm coming for you, AJ, yo. You see my man Usyk out here, man. I'm coming for you. Shoot, you know Usyk on his time, man.
Yeah. Look.
Oh, I don't know if that's finished. I cut him off. My bad.
Okay.
Nah, you know, no. I'm just saying, AJ deserves all the glory for if he wins this fight, and Usyk, they both fighters deserve all the glory. And you know, some media outlets may downplay, but we know the truth, and we know what we want. You know what's coming after that. Undisputed, baby.
You better hope.
G, that's the hate of you, G. You know, G. They go to real G right there. G knows.
How's that hate?
Ukrainian soup, but he gonna be eating Ukrainian soup if Usyk wins. That's all I'm saying.
I'm so confused right now, but okay.
I'm saying you said Usyk's Ukrainian soup, but you're gonna be eating Ukrainian soup if Usyk wins. Never mind.
All right, so hey, look, we'll find out later on what he's talking about. But for me, he deserves a lot of credit. And he deserves credit because Usyk's an Olympic gold medalist. Usyk's former undisputed at cruiserweight, and he has a solid victory at heavyweight in beating Derek Chisora. And for the people who discredit Usyk, right? I have to say, are you a Tyson Fury fan? If you're a Tyson Fury fan, you give him credit for victories over Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin, right? Otto Wallin, who I think is a talented fighter. I think Otto Wallin is a talented fighter, and in fact, that's Dillian White's upcoming opponent on October 30th. Otto Wallin's a talented fighter. He's no Usyk though. That same guy gave Tyson Fury a run for his money though. So you like Tyson Fury? I like Tyson Fury. I give Tyson Fury all the credit in the world for that victory. I thought Tyson Fury showed a lot of dog with the cut, standing in there, taking it to Otto Wallin. But you're not gonna tell me that Otto Wallin's better than Usyk, are you? You're gonna tell me he's done more in the Usyk's done more in the heavyweight division in 2 fights than Otto Wallin has done in his entire career. Usyk has done more in the sport of. That's what I'm talking about. You got to be realistic. So you want to go Deontay Wilder now? Usyk hasn't accomplished more in the heavyweight division than Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz's biggest victory is Bryant Jennings. Look this up. I'm not even lying to you. Bryant Jennings is Derek Chisora's sparring partner. And Usyk beat Derek Chisora. So again, if you want to say that Wilder's best victory is Luis Ortiz, then what would you be saying if Wilder beat Usyk, bro? I know what y'all would be saying. Wilder beat the former Olympic gold medalist, the former undefeated cruiserweight, the undefeated man who beat Derek Chisora. Y'all would be gassing it because y'all gassed Luis Ortiz. The 60-year-old orthopedic shoe wearing, hair plug having.
Now you're going too far.
You know it's true that y'all done melted Luis Ortiz for all he's worth. He was so nice, you had to fight him twice. But no one asked for the rematch. They needed to make sure everyone knew Wilder beat Luis Ortiz. But hold on, you know what it was? There was some controversy in that first fight when Wilder got that extra 30 seconds.
Yeah,
so, we need to do it again. The old geriatric managed to outbox Wilder for 7 rounds until he got hit with that punch. And just like Larry Merchant told Floyd Mayweather, when Luis Ortiz embraced Wilder, he said, if I was 50 years younger, I would kick your ass. Yo, stop it. Yo, Luis Ortiz victory. Y'all know good and damn well if Wilder beat Usyk, y'all mother effers would be putting him on a pedestal. Y'all would be putting him on a pedestal like y'all do them IG models who y'all ain't never gonna get. All right, go ahead, G.
Yo, I actually agree with the argument. However, it's relative. You're talking about Anthony Joshua, and this is why I always gave Anthony Joshua credit. I always remember we talked about this just yesterday where y'all were like, somebody said Andy Ruiz is the unified champ. I was a former unified. I'm like, he ain't unified nothing. Anthony Joshua unified those belts. So Joshua went the long road to unify. Kind of like also with like Josh Taylor. These dudes got it from the mud, right? So with AJ, it's like he's beat champions, heavyweights. So now Usyk showing up a cruiserweight. It's not at least with me. I don't know about the rest of the boxing world, but for me, it's not the equivalent. I understand Usyk has those cute accolades and everything, but I just don't see Usyk being that dude in the heavyweight division. You know, I look at Usyk like he's coming for a payday. He's gonna lose and he's gonna go right back down to cruiserweight or that new division that they're creating for the smaller heavyweights. That's what I actually see. So that's why I'm like, it's a little different because Wilder, you know, we all know this. His resume isn't as stacked as it should be, right? Tyson Fury, I don't think anyone gives Tyson Fury Otto Wallin and the other guy, right? Tyson Fury's claim to fame is Klitschko and Wilder. That's what's solidifying Tyson Fury right now. So with AJ has so many top ranked boxers, heavyweight boxers under his belt that Usyk doesn't compare in my eyes, at least. And I think a lot of people echo my sentiment on this one. That's why he's getting a little pushback about this. It's like, it's Usyk, bro. Like he's a smaller heavyweight.
All right, so a few points. One, All right, I'll start with this point. You're basically echoing what Trill said then, based on what you're saying. Joshua is a victim of his own success. You're comparing him to him, and his contemporaries aren't even on the same level because you're just dismissing the fact that Tyson Fury is fighting Otto Pauline's of the world when he's not fighting Deontay Wilder, and Deontay Wilder's fighting Luis Ortiz of the world when he's not fighting Fury, and their claim to fame is they're fighting each other for a third time. Possibly a fourth.
I did.
Another thing you said that I want to address because I find it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You said that Andy Ruiz wasn't the unified champion because he's not the one who beat all the guys to bring the belts together. Mm-hmm. Now, would you have said the same thing if Deontay Wilder would have beaten Anthony Joshua? You would have said that.
Yes, I would not.
I know we wouldn't have said that, but it's fine. I want to get.
I'm fair. I may be a Wilder fan, but at least I'm fair. I'd be like, yo, Wilder, you just beat AJ, bro. AJ's the one who collected all the Infinity Stones, bro. Like, put some respect on Thanos' name. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference, you know. Like,
and really wouldn't be no different for Wilder because AJ collected all those belts while Wilder was champion, and all Wilder did was hold on to the WBC. So even if he beats AJ. It's basically using your logic. He shouldn't be undisputed because he's not the one who collected all the other belts.
No, he's still undisputed because he has all the belts. A unified.
But he didn't collect the other ones. You understand?
You walk with me on this. I wouldn't call. Well, you could call Wilder a unified champion because he had a belt and he linked up with AJ. With Andy Ruiz, just and I'm not discrediting Andy Ruiz. I hope this doesn't come off as I'm discrediting Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz got lucky, became a champ, and then next fight he lost everything, right? Like, to me, he didn't unify anything. He just beat AJ and took all his belts and then gave him right back the next fight. That's all I'm saying. So I'm just saying, like, give AJ the proper credit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I do hold AJ to a higher standard. Should I? Maybe not. However, nonetheless, that's what happens when you get the best. You hold a person to a higher standard. People who are lower, it's like you're rooting for the you want to root for the guy that's losing, right? You're like, yo, man, keep doing your thing, keep your head up. But a person that's already up top, you're like, that's it. That's what I felt what you were saying, but we all do it to some degree. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just reality.
We're not all doing it. I'll wrap up what I gotta say with this. For me, Usyk would be the biggest victory on Wilder's resume. Because currently it's Luis Ortiz in 2 fights in the heavyweight division. Usyk's already accomplished more than Luis Ortiz in the heavyweight division. Fact. And so he's also accepting a fight with Anthony Joshua when Luis Ortiz had the opportunity and was like, what? They lost my paperwork. So nobody told me. Although the whole world knew, somehow Luis Ortiz didn't. But anyway, that's another story. So Usyk would be the biggest victory on Wilder's resume. He would be the third biggest victory on Tyson Fury's resume. So for that reason, Joshua deserves credit alone. And for those who are trying to discredit Usyk because he's coming up from the cruiserweight division, you never heard of Evander the Real Deal Holyfield? Although some people would argue HGH and other things, fine. Let's remove Evander. You never heard of Michael Spinks? You talking about history giving AJ credit later. Don't be so sure of that. Because Mike Tyson sparked out Michael Spinks in 91 seconds. But going into that fight, Michael Spinks was actually the Lineal and Ring Magazine champion because he was the one that beat Larry Holmes. So Michael Spinks beat Larry Holmes, was the Lineal champ, was the IBF champ, going into the fight with Mike Tyson. And that fight was actually a lot closer in betting odds and among the experts than it actually was when the bell sounded. And everyone talks about that fight now like it was a wash going in, like Mike didn't beat nobody. Overlooking the fact that Mike became the Lineal that night because he beat the little guy who came up from cruiserweight. So history may not give Joshua the credit he deserves, but he deserves credit. That's all I'm saying.
And when you were saying about Tyson, I agree with everything you said about everything that you said. I agree about everything you said, except for one thing where you said that Tyson Fury. Would you say he has 3 good victories? More than
No,
I give him
I
one.
said Usyk. I said Usyk would be his third biggest.
Yeah, it will be his
His third.
We got two. We got two. I said Usyk would be his third biggest.
One. He got one. Klitschko. Please like
hey, I feel you on that, brother. I'm not even gonna argue with that.
Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. Please check out our podcast on all major streaming services and check out Phantoms, Destined for Stardom, and check out this video on YouTube. Walk with me. You know who we are. We the box.
Also, my nephew Zombie Ray got a music video coming out on Monday. We're gonna give you the links to that coming soon, so be on the lookout for that.
We working.
When things seem bleak, walk with me. To navigate these streets, walk with me.